Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show where this week we're taking our first look at the all-new Range Rover.
We also have Citroen's new C5 X and a new Seat, plus Audi's newly facelifted A8 limousine and the 2022 Volkswagen Atlas. First though, the news.
Aston Martin's new hypercar, the Valkyrie, has entered production. Development is complete, and the striking new car, co-developed with the Red Bull F1 team, is in production, with the first customer car already completed. 150 Valkyries are to be built at Aston Martin's Gaydon headquarters in Warwickshire, England. A further 85 Spider versions will also be built for those who really want to listen to the 1100 horsepower V12, plus 40 track-only Valkyrie AMRs. The Cosworth engine is paired up to an F1-style KERS system for a combined hybrid output of 1,139 brake horsepower. The 6.5-litre motor can rev up to 11,100 RPM, a record for road cars until the GMA T50 enters production.
When it comes to luxury limos, the Brits have always been tough to beat. Bentley mixes traditional craftsmanship with blistering performance, while Rolls-Royce continues to represent the pinnacle of what a car can be. They're vast land yachts, full of wood and leather, and represent timeless elegance and style. But what if you want something a bit more modern, a bit more techie? Well, you get something German, namely the BMW 7 Series, the Mercedes S-Class, or this, the newly updated 2022 Audi A8. The Ingolstadt manufacturer's flagship barge, the new A8 continues the tradition of cutting-edge gadgetry and imposing styling. And let's start with that new technology, as eventually it'll start to trickle down into more mundane models in the brand's lineup. Being a luxury car, the gizmos are designed to make travelling as comfortable as possible, whether you're driving up front or being driven in the back. It comes equipped with level 3 autonomous capabilities, allowing it to largely drive itself. There's the usual array of safety equipment, like brake assist and adaptive cruise control, but it's in the cabin where you're really spoilt. The dash features an enormous pair of touchscreens which power up as soon as the car is opened. One is used to operate the climate control gubbins, like the system in new Land Rovers, while the main screen features the infotainment. All models come with Audi's 48-volt mild hybrid system, allowing up to 50 miles per gallon for the 50 TDI diesel model. This is lowered with the optional bigger wheels, but we'd still opt for standard small alloys for the best possible ride quality. After all, this is a car primarily designed to be comfortable. In that vein, the A8 needs to be as quiet as possible. It's therefore fitted with Audi's familiar 48-volt mild hybrid system, which enables it to silently glide between traffic lights.
But what about its main rival, the BMW 7 Series? With a recent facelift, the 7 has a somewhat divisive new look. Yes, you can't talk about the new 7 Series without mentioning that grille. Designed to appeal to the Chinese market, the enormous new nostrils certainly take some getting used to, and to be honest, we're still not there yet. But a limo is all about the interior, and the 7 is better appointed than ever. While it can't compete with the Audi's cinema-sized screens, the 7's cabin is still a wondrous environment to travel in. The rear seats can recline like in a first-class airliner, and you can even spec a champagne cooler in between them. The materials are wonderful, with stunning wood trims and the softest leather you could ever wish for. Sadly, it doesn't look particularly special. The dash looks like it came from a 5 Series, and at this price point, we'd hope for something a bit more distinctive.
In conclusion then, we'd go for the Audi. The array of gizmos and gadgets is a true representation of a German limo. It all feels up to date, and while the grille is massive, it looks a whole lot better than the BMW.
Citroen has been on a bit of a roll recently, and it looks like that's set to continue with its latest new release, the C5 X. Now, don't be fooled by the name. This is a very different sort of car from the funky C5 Aircross. It's the French brand's new flagship and harks back to an era when big Citroens put one thing above all else: comfort. But this isn't a big luxury saloon. Instead, it's a crossover with a popular high driving position and long travel suspension to soak up the bumps and potholes. But while it does share a platform with the cutesy Aircross, the C5 X looks more like a high-riding estate car with a low roofline tapering off to a sculpted rear end. The front end looks a lot more premium too, with no air bumps in sight. Inside, the interior looks more like a DS model than a Citroen, with a clean, minimalist dashboard that's stylish enough to rival anything from Germany. It looks fabulous, and it should be practical too, with Citroen saying it offers unparalleled roominess. The elegant cabin is topped off by an all-new 12-inch infotainment screen that will get over-the-air updates as and when they're available. It even gets a mammoth 21-inch heads-up display to ensure you keep your eyes looking forward. Other bells and whistles include voice recognition, wireless phone charging, and Level 2 autonomous capabilities with adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. Under the bonnet, the C5 X is likely to share power units with the regular C5 Aircross. Citroen has said it won't be offering a diesel option, meaning it'll likely get the familiar 1.2 petrol 3-cylinder, putting out roughly 130 horsepower. There'll be a plug-in hybrid version too, offering a combined 222 bhp. There's no word on an electric version just yet, but French deliveries are due to start at the end of the year, with an early 2022 release date likely for the UK. The C5 X is representative of Citroen's steady rise to a more premium part of the market. It's a car with no real direct rivals, but one we hope proves to be as good as it looks.
The Seat Ibiza has long been a somewhat left-field choice in the world of super minis. It's not as obvious as its VW Polo stablemate, and not as revered as the ubiquitous Ford Fiesta, and yet Seat has quietly been selling Ibizas in their millions since 1984. And now, with the current 5th generation car 4 years into its lifespan, it's had a bit of a facelift. Still as stylish as ever, the looks alone really do make us wonder why it's consistently outsold by the more expensive Polo. And that's a good job, because not a great deal has changed on the outside. There are some new colours to choose from, more alloy wheel options, and the grille badge has been updated. Around the back there's the fancy new Ibiza script in a handwritten style as we've seen previously on the new Leon. Most of the work though has gone into the interior and updating the kit on offer. All trim levels now come with LED headlights as standard, and even the most basic versions come with an updated infotainment system now sitting higher up on the dash. On base spec SE models, it's an 8.25-inch display, while SE technology cars and up get a 9.2-inch screen. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included, as is a new voice recognition system which is activated with the very Spanish command of "Hola, hola." High-spec cars can also get a digital instrument cluster, while all versions get some fancy ambient lighting. Extra safety equipment has been added, including lane keep assist, blind spot assist and a semi-autonomous driving system that can take control of the steering, throttle and brakes on the motorway. The updated Ibiza then is as up-to-date as super minis get, and best of all, it's still cheaper than the Volkswagen Polo.
After the break, the new 2022 Range Rover. Coming up, the all-new Range Rover. But first...
It's sometimes easy to forget that Volkswagen, Europe's biggest car maker, has a vast lineup of cars that we never see on European roads. There are various Asia-specific models and cars built in South America for domestic markets. And then there are cars like this, the Atlas, built specifically for North America. As is appropriate in the land of biggest is best, the newly facelifted Atlas is predictably massive. It's 9 inches longer than a Touareg, yet still hits US dealerships at just $33,000. It seems like an awful lot of car for the money then, so what's it really like? Well, a car like this is all about practicality, and the Atlas is as practical as they come, with 3 rows of seats that can comfortably accommodate 7 adults and an equally commodious boot. But while the Atlas has always been immensely spacious, it's never really felt as premium as those other models in VW's lineup. But with this new facelift, VW has made some efforts to improve the dated cabin of the old car. There are loads of different trim levels to choose from, but all of them get some fresh new styling inside. 2022 also sees the introduction of some much more up-to-date tech, like the fashionable digital instrument display. A new steering wheel instantly modernises it, while updated seats and infotainment make it feel much more current. Elsewhere in the cabin though, the Atlas still feels a little plain, while the dashboard architecture looks a lot like a 10-year-old Touareg's. Thankfully though, things get a little better on the outside. The whole front end of the car has been updated with a new 3-bar grille, some swanky LED headlights and a special body kit on high-spec R-Line models. It also wears VW's updated badge with a new, slimmer font. While the engine selection of a 235 horsepower 4-cylinder or a 276 horsepower V6 remains unchanged, the basic 2-litre version is now available with all-wheel drive. All models come with a proven 8-speed auto box, with top-spec V6 models getting a 2.3-ton towing capacity. What's more, there's now a vast array of safety tech thrown in, including all the usual autonomous systems, as well as traffic jam assist, an overhead parking camera, and road sign recognition.
However, the Atlas isn't the only affordable load lugger with room for 7. Like the Volkswagen, this Toyota Highlander is considered a mid-size SUV in America, despite being huge by European standards. A newer car than the Atlas, the Highlander immediately looks much more up-to-date with its curvy design and big front grille. And it's a similar story inside, where the dashboard is dominated by a massive infotainment screen. The materials on show look more upmarket too, with open-grain woods and streaks of aluminium throughout. It even has more seats than the VW, with base models providing space for 8 passengers, with the option of a 7-seat layout on high-spec models. It isn't quite as well equipped as the VW though, with fewer gadgets and gizmos, despite its higher starting price.
So while the Volkswagen Atlas may not be the most modern or stylish choice, it still offers incredible value for those who just want a practical big car.
For over 50 years now, if you've wanted the pinnacle of luxury 4x4s, there's been no better option than the Range Rover. Originally designed as a Land Rover you could use every day, it has evolved over the decades to become as much of a limousine as it is an off-roader. Its success has spawned endless copycats, with everyone from Rolls-Royce to Lamborghini now offering their own take on the Range Rover. And now there is a new one. Just the 5th generation car in more than 50 years on sale, the 2022 Range Rover needs to be a success for JLR, who recently reported losses of over £300 million. On the face of it, you could be forgiven for thinking this is nothing more than a facelift of the outgoing car. The two do look very similar, but the longer you stare at the new model, the more new details you notice. It is a fantastic piece of design, with an elegant front grille and unique rear lights. The overall silhouette is very similar to the old cars, but it looks thoroughly modern. Massimo Frascella, Land Rover's design boss, has said the Range Rover's look was crafted with reductionism to try and create an understated take on a luxury car. To that end, all engine and trim level badging has been ditched, with each car simply marked as a Range Rover. From launch, the new Rangy will be available as either a short or long wheelbase. Regular sized cars have seating for 5, while the long wheelbase models are extended by 200mm to allow an extra row of seats in the back. If you don't intend on carrying lots of passengers though, each wheelbase can be spec'd with just 4 seats, allowing for more luxurious chairs in the back. Up front, the new Range Rover's cabin is another example of the reductionist design attitude. There are fewer buttons than before, with many of the controls now accessed via the stylish Pivi Pro infotainment screen that sits in the middle of the simple but elegant dashboard. As we've seen with plenty of other high-end cars in the past couple of years, it has a full-width horizontal air vent and a 2-spoke steering wheel. Naturally, leather comes as standard in all models, but buyers can choose vegan alternatives if they wish. An electric version has been confirmed for 2024, but from launch, the Rangy gets an extensive engine lineup. There are 2 plug-in hybrid options, various mild hybrids, and a full-fat BMW-derived 4.4-litre V8 with 523 brake horsepower. We doubt many UK buyers will opt for that, but there are still diesel engines available for those who want to keep things simple. Crucially, the Range Rover retains its Terrain Response 2 system, which should mean it can go anywhere the new Defender can.
These days, however, the Range Rover isn't the most luxurious off-roader money can buy. This is the Bentley Bentayga, one of the most opulent cars money can buy. It may not quite have the mud-plugging abilities of the Range Rover, but its cabin is magnificent with stunning wood trims and endless customization options. It also has a hybrid option, while top-spec cars get an enormous 626 brake horsepower W12 motor, which can propel the massive SUV from 0 to 62 in under 4 seconds, onto a top speed of 190 miles per hour.
However, as impressive as it is, the Bentayga is pricey, making the £94,000 Range Rover seem almost like a bargain. At the end of its production run, the outgoing Range Rover is still a class leader. The new one then ought to set a new benchmark. Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we check out the boisterous new Audi RS3.